It's fun. It's fun to do bad things.
So did you know that you could perhaps kill somebody?
It's the greatest podcast in the world.
Yes, but I wanted to do hood rat stuff with my friends.
You don't think you should be punished for all of this?
Just a little bit no video games for a whole weekend. I took my grandma car because I got mad at my mom, and then I saw her and my friend come in, and he smoked his cigarettes. Down here, I yanked the thing.
And we are live. I was hoping that by the time the song ended, that Isaac would be on, because he said he was going to run a few minutes late. It did not fucking work out the way I wanted it to work out. So at some point, Isaac will be here. He should be here in a little bit. Hopefully. Elbow cow, finger red, number one, elbow cow. This is what I see. So don't know what the fuck that means, but my wife said things. But yeah, Isaac should be here in a little bit. Hopefully he shows up soon. Hopefully the few minutes I didn't misunderstand, and it was really more like 40 minutes instead of a few minutes. But this podcast is going to be a relatively shortish one in terms of podcast anyways. It's not going to be a very short video, but in terms of podcast, it's probably going to be a short video. We want to talk about the lawsuit. We've got a lawsuit coming up. We are suing the state of Colorado. The state of Colorado is one of the, if you haven't been following, if you've been living under a rock or you don't live in Colorado, the state of Colorado recently passed some laws. Those laws are confusing as fuck. One of the laws that it passed was training requirements. So these training requirements increased our training from basically no time limit, no time requirements, to 8 hours. No, we used to not have any testing or live fire. Didn't have to go shoot. Now you have to go. Now you have to do a written test and you have to do a live fire test. So 8 hours, written test, live fire test. It's been causing a lot of confusion, and unfortunately, a lot of instructors have kind of fallen into that confusion. And I get it. I understand. If we go to I just want to recap for those of you guys that don't haven't been following up with it. I just kind of want to recap a little bit about what the fuck is going on. This bill, one of the confusing things is that this bill, hopefully you guys can see it here, has two dates. It's got two dates where it becomes live, and one of those dates is July 1st, 2025. The other one is following the expiration of the 90-day period after final adjournment of the General Assembly. If we do that, if we go to search Google for this shit, and then we click on this. Oh, no, on this one, effective date. Boom. So the final adjournment expires on Tuesday, August 6th, 2024. So then on August 7th, that law would everything that's not 1, 4, 6, and 7 would come into effect at that point. I just got a text from Isaac said he's logging in now. But the Section 2, it comes into effect, already came into effect, right? Because that came into effect August 7th, because it expires on August 6th. So it came into effect August 7th. That's the portion where it says we need the concealed handgun training class, which is concealed handgun training class must be held in person with the instructor of the class at the same location as the student. Not part of no part of the class may be conducted via the internet. A concealed handgun training class must provide a minimum of 8 hours of instruction, including the live fire shooting exercise described in 3G of the section, and written concealed handgun competency exam described in 3H. So that's already in play. And a lot of confusion among the sheriffs. A lot of sheriffs are like, fuck it, we're not going to do anything. This shit's so confusing. But some sheriffs are, which is kind of fucky, right? Because now we as instructors are kind of tasked with knowing 64 different jurisdictions, and that puts us in a position where we just don't know what the fuck's going on. Also, if we go to LexisNexis, let me see, lexisnexis.com/hot topic/Colorado, and if we go to boom, hopefully you guys can again read this. We go to 18, and we go to 12/206, and if we read in 206, in 206 we see that the state of I'm already live, fool.
All right.
Can you hear it? If we see it right here in 1812.
If you can hear me, I can't hear you yet.
All right. Let me get him.
Check.
Yeah.
I see you're already live, so I feel bad for making this worse.
But anyways,
there we go. I'm in. I got it.
Yeah.
All right.
So it says that there should not be any statewide database. So if we note here, notwithstanding provision of paragraph A of the subsection 3, on and after July 1st, 2011, a sheriff shall not share information from the list of permittees with law enforcement. So there cannot be a statewide database. So that's established in 1812-206. I'm sorry, 3. Subsection 3 cannot do that. Now, if we go to Arapahoe County, right? Arapahoe County said they weren't going to start doing anything until July 1st. Arapahoe County till July 1st, 2025. Yeah, but if we go to the sheriff's office, this is kind of the issue that we're having as instructors. So if we go to the Adams Sheriff's, now all of these people right here, because of the law, right? In the law, the new law, it says that in order for me to be a verified instructor, which already technically came into effect, I have to hold a valid permit to carry concealed handgun. So I have to have a permit. Well, the law says that a sheriff, Each sheriff shall maintain a list of persons who issue a permit to, upon request, criminal, blah, blah, blah. The sheriff may, at his discretion, share information on a list of permittees, but again, we can't hold it. After July 1st, 2011, a sheriff shall not share information from the list of permittees with law enforcement agencies for the purpose of creating a statewide database. Well, this is now a statewide database. This is available to people. This right here says that except for suspected violations of 1812, 105, 105.5, a peace officer may not use or search a database of permittees maintained by law enforcement agencies to establish reasonable suspicion for a traffic stop or when contacting an individual. So they can't search the database. So we're now in a statewide database. And statewide database is basically, it's accessible to the state. Anybody can access that shit. And so now all of these people right here are now fucking part of a statewide database. And here's the other fucky thing for those of you guys that are still following along. Concealed Handgun Training Verification Program. If you click there, and if you go to the application, in the application it says that I don't know how well we can see it here, but it says up at the top, I acknowledge that I have read, understand, and am abiding by all requirements of HB 241174. So on one hand, you have the sheriff saying, supposedly, not till July 1st, 2025. And on the other hand, they're making us sign a contract that says you're going to start teaching everything that is in HB 241174. So you have to start teaching this stuff right now. And if you don't, this is under penalty. I think a lot of these applications talk about how like under penalty of the law, blah, 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 because now you have the compliance sheet. I hereby certify that the concealed handgun training class that I instruct complies with all requirements, including specifically requirements. So you have to sign again saying that you're abiding by all of these laws. But again, according to them, you're not supposed to start this till July 1st, 2025. But we don't have a start date. We don't have any of that shit. So, and anyways, just add to that confusion. So why do we want to sue the state of Colorado? Primarily, it will start off with the state of Colorado, primarily because of this. There is now a list of humans that are on verified instructors. So now there's a database of people who have concealed handgun permits, which is a violation of this section right here. Now, you will always have people, well, it doesn't really say that. Well, it strictly says we cannot share it, cannot maintain a database. Now you're sharing it. So now you have it there available for the world to see, and not just law enforcement, anybody can see it. And then we're supposed to get like a little card that says we're verified. And then this is the card we take to other sheriff's offices, say we have been verified by our sheriff. So that's the main premise on why we're suing them. Also, we sent out an email. Some of you guys already read it. And the law review by Harvard Law Review. Woo, review. I just want to do this live. I'm bold for doing this shit. Harvard Law Review, Bruin. Just go with the Bruin. Again, if you're on our mailing list, you already got this. But why scored live requirements violates the Second Amendment. Now, admittedly, Harvard Law Review is written mostly by students, reviewed by professors and all of that stuff. But these are legit. They get taken into account. These are real arguments that have been made. I only use this one because it was structured the best out of most of the art. If you go read most of the articles that exist, they give you roughly the same information. However, a little bit more. They work more like my brain, where it's just like, what the fuck did he say? This one is a little bit more organized. It cites a few things a little bit more uncluttered, I guess, if you will. So that's why I referenced this one. It argues the same thing as many people have already argued, and it lays it out pretty well. jurisdictions that require applicants for a handgun carry license to complete a shooting qualification test need to furnish affirmative proof that conditioning the armed self-defense right on a scored live fire exercise comports with the historical tradition of firearms regulations, and that's the main one. And it doesn't. So for many reasons, Bruin protects the live fire stuff. Now the written one, but mainly the live fire.
Might be actually interested to know if the written test is also historically not supported. I gotta admit, I don't really know. I'm not gonna pretend like I do, but it would seem to me that a written requirement to be allowed to arm yourself does not follow historical standard.
Yeah,
Maybe in the last 40 years, but not in the history of the country.
correct.
So,
and that's an issue that we are going to discuss with Brian, our attorney Brian DeBush. If you guys don't know who he is,
because that Harvard Law Review article is really just one argument.
Correct.
It's not the entire argument.
Correct.
It's just demonstrating why something like a live fire requirement, something that's been true in Texas for a very long time, for their license,
the live fire requirement,
has been true in Texas, and so it's interesting where the arguments come from, because people, just generally speaking, don't really pay attention. And you would think like, oh, Texas, you can carry a gun. We've known for a long time that Texas has been much more restrictive about carrying firearms than Colorado has, or many other states have. Texas kind of stood out in its live fire requirement for a lot of years. Now, you can carry in Texas now without a permit, but if you want to get a permit, you do still need to do a live fire portion of the class.
And I think that's part of the uphill battle, is that we have our own fucking people. Again, Texas is supposed to be, well, Texas, and they kind of established, to a degree, some sort of history of requiring a permit. Now, what helps us out is that Texas and most of concealed carry permits, period, is a relatively new thing. Like, it is not a super ancient thing. It's less than, I'd say, like 50 years, if that. In Colorado, it's only been since 2003. I think Texas got theirs in like the mid 90s, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, from what I understand, and I really don't have a lot of background knowledge on this, but from my understanding, that there was a wave of concealed carry laws that were written and passed throughout the country starting in the early 90s, and the NRA was behind a lot of that state by state push to actually get laws on the books so that there was a path to lawful carry for citizens across the country. Now, so we could give the NRA credit for taking charge in that initiative. We could also blame them for some of the onerous requirements across some of those states, where they worked with legislators to put things like required training on the state laws. I wasn't there, so I don't really know the ins and outs of it. I could see an argument for saying, well, if a state's not going to require it, or is not going to allow concealed carry unless we do these things, then maybe there's a pragmatic argument to say, well, let's get to a compromise so that people can carry guns. I think Pincus would be a much better authority on this. He has a lot more background at that time period than I do. So, but yeah, so we are kind of our own worst enemies in many ways around this argument. Ignorance, misunderstanding the point of training, and the negative outcomes of required training, and people who say that they're for the Second Amendment, but all that stuff.
Correct. Yeah.
And then just plain old greed, because there are instructors who are happy about a law like this passing because they believe, and probably it will reduce some of the competition in the market.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen the change in the market.
Mm-hmm.
We've already seen how drastic this has changed the mood for this kind of stuff. So it's. And anytime you force somebody to do something, it turns them off on on wanting to do it, even if they had the intention to do it, just by nature, don't touch the red button. Fuck you mean don't touch the red button? I'm now I'm gonna touch the red
Now
button.
I'm gonna touch the red button
just because you said don't touch the red button. So
yeah.
that's a huge issue.
I wonder if that's been studied, where they put a big sign on the button that says "push this button" to see how many people are like, "Wait, why do you want me to push that button? I'm not pushing that button. What happens if I push the button?"
Yeah.
So yeah, or am I allowed to push the button? If it says right on there, "Do not push the button," am I allowed?
Yeah. Humans are weird.
Humans are weird. Humans are driven much more by emotion than reasoning and logic.
Correct.
So the other thing I wanted to bring up, and I don't know if you talked about it already, was the issue of the sheriff's departments, at least some of them, trying to absolve themselves of the responsibility or the liability of the statewide database by adding words to the instructor verification application that says I'm not the sheriff's department is not responsible for breaking the law. I'm paraphrasing. I think you've probably looked more closely at this than I have, but I think Boulder County has it, and maybe some other counties.
You've seen it in Boulder?
I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
Last I checked with Boulder hasn't done shit.
Oh, that's right. Boulder has not added anything to their website.
Correct. Boulder was the main one that was like, no, there's a lot of us sheriffs that were going to be doing this.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're not even going to pretend.
Was it Denver County?
Denver County's is fucking egregious. Denver County's is horrendous.
Is the is the verification stuff on the sheriff's department or on the police
Denver
department?
and Broomfield are with the police department.
Okay.
Yeah, Denver police. CHP, chickaboom, concealed weapons. Here we go. Verified instructor applicants. Are you going to share it, or you want me to share it?
You can share it. I'm probably not the best person to try to share.
So verified instructors applicants. Oh, here's the application. I certify that my concealed handgun training and or refresher class will be held. Certify that 8 hours long. Certify that my concealed will be refresher 2 hours. Certify my training of completion will include my printed name. Blah blah blah. I certify boom. Save storage. So all the shit. I certify a refresher. Valid concealed handgun permit, detailed description. So you have to turn in a syllabus with them, which is not required by law. You have to give a brief description of your facility, which is fucking dumb. Yeah, I don't see that portion for them anyways.
Okay. Let's see. Detailed copy, check or morning. They want you to pay $125, which that is within the law that the department
any fee. They said any fee.
Yeah, any fee.
Fee.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is another consequence right now. Anybody who knows about this law being passed and possibly going into effect, I'm looking at the Denver city and county of Denver verified instructor list right now, and it's blank. There's nobody on there. And so if you're looking for a concealed carry class, believing you need to take one in Denver, there's nobody to take one from.
Yeah, if you follow that list. And that's the other fucking thing. There's a lot of instructors that are just going to wait to become verified until next year so that they don't have to sign. And I get why they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So that they don't have to sign that release saying that they're going to start teaching the new class, right? So that they don't end up in this catch-22. But if they wait until next year, potentially some of the students that are looking up or studying how to get a permit will land on their jurisdiction's website. Their website will have a verified instructors list, and they don't see an instructor. They don't see somebody on that list. They may not even look for them or believe that their certificate isn't even valid.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is it's not what's true. It's what they believe is true.
Correct.
And without a source of authoritative information, which the state is not going to provide, people are not going to just intuitively believe that they can take that class anywhere. I mean, some people might, but generally speaking, you're going to run into a lot of people who are misinformed through really no fault of their own, and are going to end up not even pursuing a concealed carry permit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to the Adams County verified instructor list, and it's blank.
Yeah, it just has the two test ones, John and Jane Smith.
And then let me go to that instructor application form. And I brought this up because you had talked about one of the solutions that
CSOC
had talked about for breaking the law was to add a statement to the instructor verification form, basically saying, I give you permission to put my information out on the internet.
Correct.
But that doesn't absolve the sheriff's department of breaking the law. You can't give permission to people to break a law.
Correct. It's kind of like I tried arguing this, but it's fucking pointless. I tried discussing this and arguing this with some of the instructors that were asking about this shit. I'm like, listen, once you sign that application, you're gonna have to start teaching the new class. You have to. So you're in this fucked up situation. And they're like, well, I have an email from my sheriff saying that they're not gonna do anything until July 1st. I was like, well, try arguing that in court. Like, never in the history of contracts have you been able to say, oh no, our email that was dated from 3 weeks before I signed the contract, like, you knew what the fuck you were signing. Same thing here is we're telling the sheriff, sure, I'm going to sign this, but it's because I need to eat and I need to feed the fucking kids. But you're still breaking the law. There's still a violation of the law here. It doesn't matter what the fuck your sheriff emailed you. Doesn't fucking matter what they said on their website. All that matters is it legal or not. There's so much shit on their website. Like, if you go look on their website, there's so much shit on there that's probably not even legal for them to have on there. Or they're saying something incorrect that's not consistent with the law. Just because the sheriff says it doesn't mean it's fucking true. They're not the attorney. They're not the county attorney. They're not the sheriff attorney. They whatever they say doesn't mean it's true. It's ultimately going to be up to a judge.
Right. Yeah, I mean, even the attorney doesn't have the authority to absolve anybody of crimes. On the Adams County instructor verification application, on the second page, under acknowledgement and release of information, it says on the second point, I understand that CRS 18-12-202-73C requires the sheriff to maintain a record of my name as a verified instructor and to post my name and the expiration of my instructor verification on the sheriff's website. I consent to this. I agreed to release and hold harmless the Adams County Sheriff's Department, its agencies, elected officials, officers, agents, and employees from any and all liability or claims resulting from the issuance of this permit and verification. So this is not exactly that, but it is kind of like acknowledging that harm can come from this.
Yeah.
And that you're signing away your right to pursue claims on that harm.
Correct. And our lawsuit as of right now is not going to be with the sheriff's office. As of right now, the lawsuit's going to be against the state because it's the state that created this. It wasn't the sheriff's office that created this. This is one of the times where I'm like, I'm kind of on the sheriff's side with this. Kind of, because this law should not have started. In fact, many sheriff's offices are not doing anything, mostly because they're like, we don't even know what the fuck to do with this shit. Like, we don't have the resources. We don't have it's costing too much money. We don't even want to fucking deal with this, or we're gonna push it off. So some of them, I get it. So that's why we're starting our lawsuit with the state of Colorado.
And I think that the way you if you look at 1174, it's confusing enough that if a sheriff decides not to do anything until July 1st, they're within an interpretation of that law. And if they decide to do everything starting August 7th, they're also within an interpretation of that law. You really can't blame them for for there being different sheriff's departments doing different things. We can blame them for going above and beyond in their application process, which is what Denver County is doing. But that's really kind of like not as important as the overall law itself.
Correct.
So,
Yeah, with limited resources, we have to kind of have to pick and choose who we're going to fight, and I think the battle is with the state, and because it is with the state, though, that's more exposure to risk, that's more exposure to liability and legal stuff, right? Not actual liability, but on the legal sense. So that's the plan. That's the angle for this lawsuit. There needs to be more conversations with Brian. Brian is he's ready to file, but he wants to make sure that he does it correctly. That we have a strategy that is correct and that is pointed, so that we're not really all over the fucking place.
yeah, and on that note, it takes money to do that. Money that we need to raise in order to make that a reality. And we know from experience it's an uphill battle to raise money for things like this. There's no shortage of people. If you posted a news story about this, all the comments from the pro-gun people are going to say something along the lines of, we need to get rid of the ATF. We need to end permits. The Second Amendment is my constitution, or the Constitution is my permit. Like all of these things
Correct.
that don't do anything. It's virtue signaling. Everybody wants to, talk shit about how the left is all about virtue signaling. The right is just as bad about
Correct.
it. It takes time and effort and resources to fight. And I think to some degree, I understand why people don't do it, because we have had it so good for so long that people are just complacent and, blind. They're not used to having to actually stand up for their rights.
Yeah.
But it's time, it's time to do that. It's time to do that, not just with this law, but definitely with this law, because this is going to affect your ability to carry a gun in public.
We do have that legal fund, gunsforeveryone.com, legal-fund. So if you guys go to the Guns for Everyone website, legal fund, you guys can donate there so we can have the money to sue them. Unfortunately, that's what we get asked a lot, is like, what's it going to take? Money.
Yeah, lots of money.
It's going to take a lot of fucking money for us to do it. We have a goal of $10,000. It's probably going to cost more than that. Our attorney already gave us a figure for just to start, right?
Just to file,
just to file and get all the documents ready and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
10 grand, I think it's going to be a little bit lower than what it will be in the long run, but I think 10 grand gets us a good starting point, and maybe it doesn't cost that much. Maybe it's not that much of an issue. And
well, I'm fairly confident that legal roadblocks will be used by the state attorney's office. Delay and obfuscate, and I mean it's part of the game. If you're going to be fighting for your client, you're going to use every available method to get your client's outcome.
Correct.
And people get pissed off about that, but that's absolutely the way the law should be practiced. I mean, within an ethical standard, but
Correct.
Your job as the attorney is to do all of those things. The state's attorney's job is to do those things.
Correct.
And our attorney's job is to fight against that. And so that's why I expect it, not because I'm like a cynicist. That's just how you're supposed to fight for your client. So I believe it's going to be a lot more than $10,000. And I hopefully will gain some profile on this lawsuit and it, be able to get some attention, maybe even from outside the state, but hopefully from the tens of thousands of concealed carry permit holders in this state. You will complain about the money to pay for the permit, but you will pay for the permit if you want the permit. And that's, $150 and for most of the people who have a permit. And this is as important as having the permit.
Correct.
And so definitely going to need money. Definitely need to. I don't know how to pull on heartstrings. I'm not very good at that. I just realized today something about myself that really lets me know that I'm not good at the heart stuff. I don't know how to. I don't know how to pull on the emotions of people. I'm not good at that. So we need somebody who is. We need somebody who's like a complete shyster who can come in and just like get people to start crying and throwing money at us.
Yeah. I've never been good at that shit. Never. I do okay when I'm passionate about it, but this is something that I'm passionate about, but this is something that I don't want to do. Like it's like it doesn't. I know how tedious it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those weird situations where like I like fighting the government because I fucking hate the government. I think government is absolutely fucking worthless. The state is worthless. Capital S, state is fucking worthless. But so I like fighting that. I like fighting injustice. But when we fought Larimer County, it was a fucking pain in the ass. It was a fucking nightmare. It was a lot of stress. It was a lot of stress comes with this shit. A lot of educating that comes with it, not about guns, but education about what the fuck is going on and what's really going on versus what Reddit says is going on. So a lot of that shit. So on our end, it takes a lot of emotion and fucking sleepless nights and shit like that. But it's like we all have to kind of do something. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah, to some degree, I'm not looking forward to it either. I mean, there's something to be said for trying to do the right thing and like deriving some kind of value out of doing that thing that's right. But I'd prefer not to have to. But at the same time, like I think rights are kind of like salvation for you Christians out there. You don't earn your rights, but you kind of do. You don't earn your salvation, but you kind of do.
You kind of do.
And it's. I mean, people have been arguing about this for 2,000 years, so we don't have to have that argument. But if you understand the history of that argument around salvation, it's the idea that basically, how can you show other people that you deserve your rights, even though you have them just by being a human being? If you're not willing to do what you need to do them or to have them, and so I do derive. I mean, like I'm saying this just from a personal point of view.
Correct.
For myself, I'm not saying this for like the benefit of everybody else. I'm just saying I don't want to do this, but at the same time, I do want to do this.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's I always find connections in weird fucking places, but I was watching a video about and I go through this a lot too in terms of trust and loyalty and shit like that. Like that's one of my biggest struggles is trust and loyalty. Like if you want one of my toxic traits, it's I need fucking loyalty and trust. I have a lot of trust issues, and this idea of looking up people's phones kind of came up. And it's just like, well, in order for me to trust you, I need to look at the stuff. I need proof in order for me to trust you. I can't trust you if like it doesn't just appear out of fucking nowhere.
Right.
Like there has to be I have to have a basis for the trust.
Right.
So it's like I don't want to feel that way. I like psychologically I don't want to feel that way. So like when you say that, for me, that's the connection, right? Like I need to work for the trust. I need to show you that you can trust me. And vice versa, you need to show me there needs to be proof there for this very icky fucking feeling. Icky, I just said fucking sounded retarded. Like I don't want to do that, but it's you're right. Like we have to. So it just we have to earn our stake with freedom, and that
Right.
comes through training, right? Responsible gun ownership,
Hmm.
being decent human beings, all that shit. But this
Yeah.
is part of it. Now is the ugly part before the real ugly part. This is the precursor to avoid physical conflict.
Yeah, and I think it's a so for me it's very personal in the idea that I'm really doing this for myself first,
Yeah.
and I'm not like saying that from a selfish point of view, but this is like a personal fight.
Yeah.
Uh, all the work that I have done to become an instructor has been personal to me. It's
Yeah.
like I wouldn't have the energy to do this for just other people. Like, that's the selfish part of me, just
Yeah.
being like, y'all are not worth my time. If this was just for you, and I derive a great amount of personal satisfaction from the work that I have done, and from a constant goal of improvement and all of that stuff. So I do care about the people that come through the classes, and I care about what happens to them, but I don't have enough energy to do it just for that reason.
Correct.
You
No,
know,
and there's way too many. I just had a student on Sunday, who flat out was like, I turned on the video, but I didn't even fucking pay attention to it. I just turned it on just in case you were counting how long I was watching the video. And I'd say that'd be like 90% of the fucking students that we have that are like, I couldn't give two fucks about what the fuck you're saying. So if we focused only on other humans,
yeah, because that's the thing. Like ultimately, the effort on their side is not there.
correct.
Like half of them don't even show up to the class, and that's okay. Like to some degree, I'm like, I accept that. I wouldn't be here doing this if I didn't accept that.
And with it, we do this because they shouldn't have to fucking show up.
Yeah.
Like to a certain degree. DH, where the fuck you are, we appreciate that you sent whatever you could. That often a lot of I think a lot of humans that say shit like this, I didn't have much, but here's what I could send you. To me anyways, personally, means a lot more than the humans like, I have a lot of money, but here's $10 and you're welcome.
Yeah.
Just like
Or like I have a lot to give, but what is the average donation? I'll give you that. It's like, okay, well, the point of donating, besides paying for everything, the point of donating is to sacrifice something that's important to you for something that's more important to you. And so if $2 is important to you and you decide to sacrifice that for the higher goal,
there goes Jesus. He's fucking mad that you were fucking talking
dude,
shit.
he's not happy right now. We're getting one major storm right now. I'm waiting for the 3-inch hail to start falling. But yeah, so and I talk about that with donations in the class. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, because people do ask, what's the average donation? And I don't ever answer that question because that's not the point.
Correct.
The point is for you to invest something valuable back into something that you got value out of.
Correct. So DH, whatever you sent, obviously it meant a lot. So we appreciate it. And there's a lot of people that donated. I'll be honest with you. We for the legal fund, we got a lot more than I thought we were going to get. Which is maybe shitty on my part, but to those of you guys that did donate and send money, because of you, we can start the legal process. Like it's because of you guys. If it was just because of Isaac and I, we'd have been fucked. So because of you guys, we're able to continue this shit.
Yeah. So I think that we have solid legal ground to stand on. I wouldn't have put forth the effort and the money to do this if I didn't think that we had the solid legal ground. I'm pretty optimistic, actually, long term about
Correct.
this. And I think it has a lot of value for the state in general. Hopefully, if things go the way, optimistically, if the things go the way we want them to, I think it's going to be a net positive that we had to have this fight, and hopefully get more people engaged. I think the level of engagement we saw in 2013 with the recalls. Can you remember the guys' names who were behind that? You're better at that than I am.
So it was a group of quote unquote plumbers from Pueblo. So it was just a group of random dudes that did it. One of them, his name was Ernest Mascarenas.
Okay. I want to give credit where credit is due because they really did do an amazing job.
Yeah. They were later helped out by various organizations. Obviously, some took credit where they shouldn't have taken credit. But they're the ones that really started this shit. Is they weren't gonna fucking accept it.
Yeah.
One of the guys, he runs a barbecue spot down in Pueblo. So you guys are down in Pueblo, Soco Barbecue. Well, he helped with it. He wasn't one of the main guys. But Soco Barbecue, if you guys are
Soco Barbecue,
if you guys are down in the Pueblo area.
Yeah. They did do a good job. Ironically, I think the success of their effort kind of set us back in a way because it gave a lot of gun owners like some false sense of accomplishment. And instead of pursuing the fight, everybody was like, see, I told you. And then they checked out. And we saw
it was a World War II type situation where you have a few people are like, I think we should go after the other guys too. Fuck it.
Yeah.
We're here.
Yeah.
Let's go for the other ones. And people are like, nah,
we're good. Yeah, we'll stop halfway through Berlin. We'll be fine.
They're like, no, I think we should go for the fucking rest of it. And they're like, nah.
Yeah.
And then Korea hit, and they're like, I think we should fucking get the other people too. Like we should go to, nah, let's not worry about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem with these half fights is that's the issue. I wish we would have had more money when we fought Larimer County so we could have fought all the fucking counties at once. But now it's 64 different fucking war chests.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's some big time money, and we have heard, I should say is probably the better word, some of the numbers involved with the lawsuits that RMGO has been fighting for the last few years.
Yeah.
And they're expensive lawsuits. I mean,
correct.
It's major league money to do what they're doing. And partly because they're having to fight individual battles in different cities and counties. Correct. And so you're having the same fight with, different city attorneys. And so
and for those that are kind of cynical, I appreciate you for being a cynic as from a fellow cynic, but people will say, well, it's because the attorneys, they take all the money. I was like, I wish that was fucking true. And the amount of time it takes to research case law, the amount of time it takes to read the case law, because now you have to read the case law to make sure that it's the correct case law. That is hundreds of hours. I'm fighting that traffic ticket and it's still not over. It's almost a year later and it's still not over. I think reading laws and case laws just for a bullshit traffic ticket, I think without any exaggeration, I think I did 20 hours worth of just reading and studying in these past year. That's just for a bullshit fucking traffic ticket. Reading case law, finding it, appellate courts, reading what the fuck it says. That doesn't include writing the briefs. That doesn't include making sure that the briefs are the law says you have to write these briefs in certain font and they have to have certain spacing and some have different spacing than other spacing. So like that itself is a lot of fucking time. So
expert time. It's not just doing it. It's you're paying experts to do it.
Yeah.
And experts should get paid what they're worth. And so, yeah, and then it's all the going to court and doing all the filing
the paperwork. That costs money.
Yeah. It's expensive.
I know I've spent more than I would have if I would have just paid the ticket.
Oh yeah, by far. That's always it's always the case, But I always tell people in my classes, like if you ever get a gun charge, you should fight that charge.
Yeah.
For a few reasons. One, principle, just fighting it on principle, because I don't think we should have any gun laws. So fight that. Two, gun charges can be catastrophic if they end up sticking on your record. And 3, they're winnable cases, and it's a really good education on your legal system and how you stand up for yourself against that. But it is expensive.
Pricey.
And that's why I always tell people it's expensive, but it's worth it. And then for the criminal side of self-defense, you should always fight that. If you defended yourself and you believed what you're doing is right, then absolutely every dollar spent is worth the fight. Even if you don't have firearms legal protection or any legal service, if that money's coming out of pocket, it's still worth it. You are defending yourself against the state.
Correct. And if you win, securing your children's future fights.
Right.
Because this all gets logged, right? This is one of the reasons why I hated our win with Larimer County, because it was a win, but it was a quasi win, right? So we won because the judges were like, hey, they already changed what you wanted them to change, so we're going to dismiss the case. It wasn't like we lost and Larimer said, fuck you, we're not going to do anything. No, Larimer's like, no, we fucked up. Let's change. We already changed everything. So then the judge, I wish the judge would have been like, yeah, you changed everything, but we don't want it to happen again. So
and that's why we felt like we had won that, even though we did lose. We felt like the effort had been worth, or the outcome was worth the effort.
Correct.
Worth the money, worth the time. If nothing else, just to get Justin Smith on camera admitting that he wasn't really doing his job, and watching the blame shift between in the King's office, watching the blame shift going on between the clerk and the
if
sheriff.
You guys haven't seen those depositions, we have those depositions on our YouTube channel. Those depositions have an incredibly low viewership, which is kind of sad. This is sheriff and the person running the sheriff.
We need to change the title to something like brand new Second Amendment ruling. Can you believe what they said? And then boom, here's the 45-minute video.
Do the fucking clickbait
like hell.
Yeah. One of those videos is them saying no, we don't read
that
the
dude,
laws.
On YouTube, Armed Scholar has the worst clickbait titles. It is infuriating.
But you click it every time?
They're so well written. The titles are so well written, you cannot not click on it. And then every single time you're like, God damn it, he tricked me again. So the guy's smart. He does know what he's talking about. My beef with him is just the clickbait. Well,
there's a whole science behind the clickbait. If you guys are now, we completely switched this video right here by Veritasium. It's really good about clickbait and shit like that. It's fucking awesome.
It's funny, they've got all these titles like how to identify clickbait. Look, I can identify clickbait. I know when I'm being tricked. I just can't stop it. I can't not do it.
That shit's hilarious.
It actually plays into the casino mindset.
Yeah,
which is I know it's a trick, but sometimes it's not, and it's that's randomized rewards of varying value. That's what a slot machine is. And so even though we know we're ultimately going to lose, we cannot resist the potential. Yeah. Getting into a scroll hole on YouTube Shorts or Instagram, same thing. You're like, ad, stupid, don't care, wrong. Oh my God. It was okay. All right, let's keep going.
Yeah. This is why we're gonna start doing bingo.
Yeah.
For sure, we're gonna start doing fucking bingo to raise funds and shit like that.
I gotta say, you're on your YouTube channel the videos you've been doing. I really like your thumbnails. Your thumbnails are not clickbait, but I think they're pretty engaging thumbnails. And
especially when you end a random chick, just a stock photo of a random chick. I think one of them I put, I don't know who she is, but I thought I'd catch her perv eye.
Yeah. So much better than me. Like I literally all the production value I'm doing on my videos is I got like a $30 wireless mic, but I go straight from record to upload. I don't do anything.
Yeah.
I don't do a thumbnail. I don't do anything.
I don't do editing. I just do the thumbnail. That's it.
Yeah.
And even that takes like 30 fucking seconds with new technology.
With AI.
Adobe Express.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
yeah. I should use that stuff, but right now, like my biggest hurdle is just getting a video recorded and uploaded. Like, so that's why I'm not trying to complicate things too far.
What I need to work on is organizing my fucking brain. I fucking
Yeah.
hate reading notes.
Yeah.
I hate structuring shit. So I just fucking hit record and then start saying shit. And then I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck I said. Fuck it. Send it.
That's the brand though, man. You got to stick to the brand. There's something to be said for that, for sure. Cool. Well, do you have anything else on the lawsuit, the litigation, the next steps?
So the next steps is have a conversation with Brian before we fully file. And the conversation is basically just make sure we understand what the fuck we're getting ourselves into, what our complaints are. Make sure that we solidify our complaints, right? So, because the way we explained it, there's two of them. One, we're being added into a database that it goes against the law. So, how do we word that properly? And then the second one would be the live fire testing. How that's historically not. It doesn't hold muster, as they say. If that's what they say.
Yeah. And on that note, like if this was some kind of a split decision and we actually won one thing and didn't win the other, I would definitely take the get rid of the requirements, the new requirements. And
yeah,
I'm not a fan of having my name out there, but like honestly, like we're on a public podcast. I'm obviously not that concerned about it.
Correct.
I would like to see the state not be a hypocrite about it and update the law so that they're not asking sheriffs to do something unlawful and trying to navigate that completely nonsensical process.
Correct.
But more importantly to me is to get rid of the specific training requirements.
Yeah.
So
we'll see what happens. I know for Guns for Everyone in general, we're trying to build up more of the content. We've kind of slacked on that. Isaac has his own channel. It's Guns for Everyone. Isaac, is it Isaac on YouTube?
Yeah, Isaac. Yeah, I think
YouTube
it is, or maybe it's not. It is Isaac on Instagram.
Okay, I don't think it is on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I'll work on having a page where we have a lot of those videos already on our concealedcarryforfree.com website. Just look for the videos link, and you'll see a lot of these videos. But I think to give you guys one source, if you're on Twitter, we're trying to build Twitter up as YouTube and Facebook start to get a little bit more tough with their policies and shit like that. We might migrate over to just Twitter. So this is being fed to Twitter right now. I know some of you guys don't have the Twitter shit, but that may be in the future, in the long run, that may be our only choice, is to have videos on Twitter. So we're trying to figure all of that shit out. If you guys have kind of suggestions about videos that you guys want to watch, we may or may not listen to you, but send them our way.
Yeah. DH agrees that Armed Scholar is clickbait level 9,000. I just saw that. He's the worst, man. It's so sad because he actually does bring good information. He just cheats his way into it. Yeah, the video content stuff is like, if you are serious about learning more about defending yourself, and as usual, Edgar's doing a better job than I am. His videos are well, first of all, you're doing more of them. Second of all, you clearly have studied many of these things much deeper than I have. And so definitely watch Edgar's videos. Watch mine too, but like his are better. So for now, until I get better.
Yeah, check that shit out. But again, if you guys have recommendations, because at some point Isaac and I both are going to hit a place where we're like, what the fuck else do I talk about? And then we just repeat.
Hey,
And
if
sometimes
PDN can
that's
do it for 13 years, we can do it.
yeah. And sometimes repeating shit isn't a bad thing because even when I go rewatch my videos, I was like, I should have probably said it this way or added that and shit like that. So go check that shit out. Yeah. That's all I have.
And tell your friends to donate to the legal fund.
Yeah.
Anybody you know who is concealed carrying or thinking about concealed carrying, if they can send some value over to support this, it is maybe the most important thing going on right now as far as carry is. And I don't just mean the lawsuit; I mean the law itself.
Correct.
Is terrible. It's having a huge impact already and a huge negative impact.
Correct. Yep. So I appreciate those that stuck around, that listened, commented, all of that shit. We'll have another podcast hopefully soon with Brian.
Yep.
Our attorney Isaac is trying to work that shit out between him and Brian.
And the goal of that one will be to get into some more detail about the legal fight around understanding how, like, strategy, understanding what exactly we are hoping to argue based on.
Yeah.
So,
and then hopefully give you guys a little bit of non-advice and only non-advice because he's not your attorney. That's the only reason. But it's information coming from an attorney that kind of discusses what he thinks you should do as an instructor moving forward with classes and signing the release and shit like that. So hopefully we talk to him about that shit. That way you have an idea, right? If you were his client, what he would recommend you do with this law and all that shit. So look for that soon, relatively soon. So other than that, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for sticking out.
yes, awesome.